So, the last year has been a little crazy. And now we've added in this winter polar vortex snow sleet thing. And we're all feeling a little bit, well, yeah, like that. So let's perk up, buttercups. The groundhog may have said 6 more weeks, but that's not gonna stop us from bringing some sunnier vibes into our decor. We're gonna shake off those winter blahs and spring into Craftion. Get it? It's because it's spring and crafting in action. We're gonna, you get it. Let's find out how. Welcome to the How Files, where creative folks like us come to laugh and learn. I am Jen, and I am your head honcho. Yeah? No? I'll fix it, but I've gone through the files, and today we are going to craft it. Today I've created 3 simple, fun, springy DIYs for you, complete with materials list and step-by-step instructions. We hit the Dollar Tree and we got golden eggs and mossy bunnies and chalkboard signs, and later on I'm going to try a technique that I've never done before, so stick around and see if it actually turns into something. But enough chatting, let's get crafting. So here's how we started this project. I took 2 of the mini wooden crates that I got at Dollar Tree, and then I just sanded off any rough edges. You don't have to do a crazy sand on this, just make sure you don't have any splinters. So I use these disposable sheet pans that I get in a 3-pack from Dollar Tree, and then I just line them with paper towels. And so if I have other things I want to work on while I'm waiting for stuff to dry, it's just really easy to move back and forth. So I'm applying this stain with a foam brush, and I'm using Varathane's premium stain in the color Kona. Now I love this color. It's dark, but it's one of my favorites. I use it all the time. Make sure anytime you're staining that you use gloves. It's really hard to get stain off your hands. You also want to have towels at the ready, and I'll explain to you why in just a second. I prefer to use foam brushes for small projects like these because I can get them at the Dollar Tree. They're really inexpensive, and it's hard to clean stain out of brushes, so you can just discard these when you're done. So now you just add the stain, make sure that you get into all of the little crevices and you don't have any raw wood left. Also, I went ahead and put stain down inside just the top edge, just about a ½ inch. So now don't be like James Bond here. You want to stir your stain, not shake it.
Oh, that's stirred, not shaken. That was right, wasn't it?
Perfect. Cheers.
And the reason is that all the stain ingredients can settle down to the bottom of the can. So you want to just make sure that you stir it really well to get all of that mixed up in there. And if you shake the can, then you're going to get a bunch of unwanted bubbles. So you don't want that. I wipe off the excess stain in between each side that I'm doing. I don't let it sit on the wood for very long. If you wanted the stain to be darker, you could go ahead and leave it on for a little bit longer before you wipe it off. And then give your stain time to dry. I'll do a more in-depth tutorial on staining pieces in a future How Files episode. If you're interested in it, let me know in the comments. Close up your stain lid really well. And here's a trick that I use if I know that I'm going to be doing second coats or I'm going to be staining something else. I just keep Ziploc bags, which you can get at the dollar store, sitting around my craft area. And in between painting or staining, I just put the brush inside a Ziploc bag. And then that keeps it from drying out, and it saves me money on extra brushes. Oh, there's my kitty. Isn't he cute? Look at the little nugget. Once everything is dry, you want to hot glue the pieces together to make one long crate. Now take some jute twine, I use the Dollar Tree version, and measure 3 times around each of the spaces in your crate. I hot glue one corner inside the crate on the bottom, and then after I wrap it around 3 times, I make sure that I glue it right in the back along the seam. And it's okay that it's showing on that seam because we're gonna cover it up towards the end. Then you're going to want to take styrofoam and fill those crates up almost to the top. I just used some leftover styrofoam that I saved from a package that I got. I save that stuff all the time, but Dollar Tree has floral foam and styrofoam that you can get that would work here as well. Make sure, unlike me, that you get it as close to the actual size of your container as possible, and then fill in around your edges with hot glue. Then I took these adorable carrots that I got in a 6-pack from Dollar Tree, and I just cut them down to varying lengths. Be careful when you do this that they don't unravel, because they do have like orange twine wrapped around them. Then just toss the tips. Hot glue the carrots down onto the styrofoam in a varying pattern. Just make sure that it doesn't unravel and there aren't any white parts showing on your carrots. I'm using a SureBonder glue gun here and SureBonder glue. This gun will do hot and cool glue, but right now I'm just using the hot glue. Now I got this pack of Black Rock base filler from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to use it to look like dirt. Pick 1/4 of your new planter and put down a bed of hot glue. Be careful here. And then pour the rocks in on that side, and then just continue around in the other 4 quadrants. You want to make sure that you don't have any styrofoam showing and that your carrots look like they're buried in the rock dirt. Then I took these adorable moss bunnies from Dollar Tree. They come in a pack of 3. I only used the 2 that were smaller. There's one that's standing up on his haunches, and I only used the 2 that were down lower to the ground. And then you want to hot glue these down on either side of your project, covering up those seams. Then you just want to do last checks and fill in any rock bald spots.
Huh?
And now, here we have our finished mini carrot garden. Let me know what you think. For this project, I took that adorable pack of gold eggs from Dollar Tree. It's a 6-pack, and I liked the color, but I did zhuzh it up a little bit, you'll see. I used a pair of the tiny scissors with the pink handle from Dollar Tree to sort of hollow out the holes at the bottom of the egg. Be really careful with this. Just keep the scissors closed and go really slow, because these eggs, they'll crack.
Ooh, my bad.
Then I took some of the shorter dowels from the Dollar Tree. They come in a pack of like 15. And I just inserted those into the bottom of the eggs. Then I spray painted all of the eggs with the Rust-Oleum metallic spray paint in rose gold. Put those aside to dry. Then I found these little bottles of black chalk paint at the Dollar Tree. I was really excited to try these out. Then I got a pack of wooden flower shapes. They come in a pack of 6 or 10. You get quite a few. I had a bunch left over. Then paint both sides of each of the flowers with the black chalk paint. And make sure you get around the edges too. Then I grabbed one of the long dowels from Dollar Tree and I painted that black as well. And then we wait. When it's dry, use hot glue to sandwich that dowel in between the 2 wood flowers, making sure that you line up those petals. Also touch up any edges that you may have missed during your initial painting. I'm using this adorable pail that I got at the Dollar Tree. I couldn't believe it when I found it. It looks really great with the twine wrapped around the top. And then I created this printable for you guys, and I will link it in the description below. I printed mine out big, but if you like it smaller, you do you. Go ahead then and trim out all of the white around your printable. I'm using matte Mod Podge, again, that I got from Dollar Tree. Then I just squirt it on the bucket, spread it around, and put the printable right on top. After that dries, I put an additional layer of Mod Podge over the top, and then I set it aside to dry. To make the flower arrangement, I used one of these foam blocks from Dollar Tree, and it fit in really nicely, so I just put it in the bucket. I didn't glue it in or anything. All of these flowers I got at the Dollar Tree. Every time I'm there, I look through their selection and I just grab picks that speak to me, stems that are colors that I like. I also grabbed this pack of green Excelsior to use to fill in at the bottom. Careful though, this stuff is messy. I break down all the stems here. I leave them long and I trim as I go. And then this last bunch I left as a single stem because I'm going to use that together in the back. Since this arrangement has a front, I'm leaving the flowers longer in the back and then shorter in the front, sort of inverted floral mullet.
Life's a garden, dig it, you make it work for you.
So just keep adding and trimming and looking at all sides until it's full and you like the look. Now I just start inserting my eggs all throughout the arrangement, and then I go back and fill in any bald spots with more of the wood moss. Then you just trim the smaller printable, which is linked below, into a circle, and you Mod Podge that onto your flower petal sign. You insert the sign into the back of your arrangement, and now you have your very own early bird bouquet. Let me know what you think about this one in the comments below. For this last project, I created another printable for you, which is also linked below. You'll notice that this one's backwards, and it's that way on purpose, because we're going to do an image transfer. I used this wooden rectangle sign from Dollar Tree. I removed the twine hanger, and we're actually gonna use the back of this piece. So just wipe it off to make sure that it's clean, and I'm grabbing my Waverly white chalk paint. I use these little containers that I got from Dollar Tree as like mini paint pans when I'm doing a project, because I can just put the lid on it and it stops the paint from drying out. They're actually really great. I did 2 coats of the chalk paint on the back of the sign. I'm using these wood arrows from Dollar Tree only because I didn't have any wood planks. My Dollar Tree doesn't carry them, and I didn't have any left over in my lumber stash. I removed the twine and the staples from the back, and then I mark on the arrowhead and the tail with a straight line on both sides, front and back. I'm just cutting off that extra to make a straight plank. So I score on the front and the back of both ends with my utility knife, and then I just snap off the excess wood and do a little sand job to get rid of any splinters or odd shapes. Now you're gonna do the same thing with the tip and the tails. I stain it with Varathane Premium Stain in Kona, of course. Oh, don't forget your gloves. Then I wipe off the excess and set it aside to dry. Now I'm gonna trim off all the white edges from my printable. If you don't have a laser printer, you can just print it off at Staples or Kinko's or any kind of print copy place. I'm taking the Liquitex acrylic gel medium and I'm spreading it in a thick, even coat on the sign. And then you put your printable face down. Try not to move it around a lot once you've placed it. And then take a straight edge or a burnishing tool and really smooth that out. Be careful not to get any of the gel medium on the back of the paper once you've placed it down. You have to let this dry for a couple of hours and then use a spray bottle to saturate the entire back of the paper. Start gently rubbing on the surface and you'll see the paper start to flake and rub off and just leave the ink behind. Add some Dollar Tree nautical rope as a hanger and voila! Okay, real talk here. This is the first time I've ever used this product, and the first time, it really didn't work out, like, at all. After furious Googling, I discovered the laser printer stipulation. So I tried it again, and it really didn't work again. So I tried it again, and it kind of worked. If I was going for a really aged, worn look, this would be great. But I wanted to see if I could get it to work the way I had seen it work on other videos online. Natalie Callahan over at Design on the Nines does this a lot, and hers always comes out amazing. So this time I was super careful when I painted to make sure that I got the surface as flat as I possibly could. I painted the chalk paint one way and then painted it the other way to try to make the surface very level. Then I made super sure that I used enough gel medium and I spread it out thickly and evenly, really checking to make sure I didn't have any missing parts. And then I used a bowl of water with a microfiber cloth and a ton of patience, which I don't have. And it worked a lot better. Now you may have to do this step more than once. Rub off as much as you can, it makes a big mess, and then let it dry. Once it dries, if it's still looking milky or cloudy, that means there's still pulp left on the surface, and you have to do it again. So, this one is my 4th time's charm. And it's still rustic, but I really like it, and I'm going to keep experimenting with this product. If you have any tips for me, throw them in the comments below. I also did a version with Mod Podge, so the printable is printed out right way instead of mirror image, and that's down below. So take a look at both of them and choose your own adventure on this one. Okay, so after that very long side note, here is your Hello Spring sign. Let me know what you think in the comments. Well, I hope these 3 projects put a spring in your step. Actually, right now, it's more important than it ever has been before to just take a little me time and just do something creative that brings you joy. You know, I've shown you how I would do these projects, but I want you to unleash that inner DIY monster and pick colors and items and textures that speak to your creative soul. Oh, and put it in the comments if you've tried any of these projects and give us a link to a photo so we can all love on your DIY monster. That sounded weird, but you know what I mean. And if you're new here, just hit the like and the subscribe and the thumbs up and all the buttons so you can see what we learn next. We craft it and build it and fix it and flip it and bake it and change it and we survive it. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm Jen. This has been the How Files. And remember, be creative, be bold, and know that you are amazing. Welcome to the How Files, where creative folks like... I don't know what to say there. Blech.